Welcome to Ball and Chain Podcast. This is episode 211. I'm Max Born again. I have with me who's in her sporting her new 4 eyes. It's my angel.
Just when I'm tired. My eyeballs feel like they're going to pop out of my head. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And yourself?
I am fantastical. Angry Orchard in hand. Talk about some games, some board games. I know you've got some TV shows that you want to get caught up on. I think you got Last of Us and not Last
This
of
Is
This
Us?
Is Us. Last of Us is much better. Oh God, my bad. This Is Us. And what else do you have to
Big
talk?
Bang Theory?
Yeah, Big Bang. Big Bang's Big Bang.
But I still want to get caught up on it.
Oh, you want to talk about it today?
No, I want to get caught up on watching it.
Oh, I thought I was discussing things that we were going to talk about as far as TV shows. So This Is Us, not to be confused with Last of Us. And what's the other show that you watch? Once Upon a Time. Yeah, Once Upon a Time. There you go. So we've got that to talk about. We've got a couple new board games that we want to talk about.
And I'm editing.
And you're editing at the same time.
Multitasking.
Keep in mind that your computer's not plugged in, so everything's probably a shade darker.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So you might want to.
I'm just cloning. I'm not.
Do you want to?
I'm not fixing.
Do you want to go plug in your computer
No,
real quick?
It's fine. I'm not
right
messing
there.
with exposures. I'm just.
Okay. Look at
Clone
you
it.
using big words. You think you're all smart because you got your new glasses, huh? I could break out my glasses, but the problem is then everything is like fish-eyed, bent, like including the
'cause yours
floor.
are crazy.
Yeah, they wouldn't let me get a pair of glasses that weren't a full frame, like the full you know how some people have like the half frame where it only goes around part of the glass.
Like a bifocal?
No, like the frame, that's just the stuff that goes around the glass. You got the lens, right? The lens. See how yours goes all the way around?
Yeah.
Some people have them where it's just like halfway around.
Oh,
Or some people
yours are too thick, so
Right.
it wouldn't be supported. Okay, gotcha. Yeah,
Exactly. So
yeah.
that shows you how bad my eyesight is. Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah. I had the what do they call it? The optometrist.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. Optometrist is like this really old dude, and he was making fun of my vision.
Was he?
Yeah. Because they had Thomas on the screen or whatever in the waiting room or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And I walked in, he goes, "Man, it's amazing what they can do with graphics nowadays." And like I nodded my head. It was one of the old Thomas episodes or whatever.
Where it's not the cartoon, it's more like the little
It's not
model.
No, it's not. It was in between the cartoon and the model, like where they had the
Okay.
3D rendered things or whatever. And then he looked at my chart thing or whatever on his screen. He's like, "You probably can't see that, can you?" I'm like, "No, I definitely can't." And they're like, "But I've got a 7-year-old who loved Thomas and another one who's just turned 1." He's like, "Oh, so you probably know what it looks like even without looking at it." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Isn't that amazing? That's like amazing. That's the best kind of marketing there is when you can't see it, but you know what it looks like." I'm like,
know what it is.
"Yeah, it's just a giant blue blob with a little bit of green and some red in there." And but anyway, we're not here to talk about Thomas the Tank Engine. Definitely not. We're here to talk about video games, board games, all sorts of fun stuff, all sorts of nerdy things. And you can head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/72DPI online. We'd really appreciate it. Leave a comment. This show will post shortly after we get done recording live. If you would like to watch us live, we are on stream through Facebook, so hi Facebook. And then also on twitch.tv/72DPI online. So if you'd like to watch the show when it goes live, I usually tweet out when we're going live. And that is at, I think we're still at, I don't even know what our Twitter feed is. That's amazing. Oh, God. Oh.
Way to go.
I don't know what it is. Oh, God. I probably
Way
should
to pause.
Yeah,
Way to hold up the show.
Hold up.
Here,
I'll find out in 30 seconds.
Nothing like some dead air, right?
Yeah, total dead air. Oh, it just tells me it's from Twitter. Is it 72 DPI or BC Podcast? We really got the 72 DPI one back? I don't know.
Don't.
Whatever.
Just move on.
Hi guys. Hi mom. How you doing? My mom and sister are watching.
Oh, hello.
So, anyway, continuing on. Just search for us on Twitter, on Twitch. I don't care where. 72 DPI online. All right, let's get started. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about first? This is like we've got a ton of shit to talk about, but no outline.
No rhyme or reason.
Shooting from the hip kind of thing. I hate this.
I know,
with a
you're
fiery
too
passion.
organized. You're way too organized for this.
That's why this is my second beer. This is how I cope with this.
Yeah, healthy habits here. Yeah, okay. Anyway.
I've cut down on my carbs, so I've earned these 2 beers.
Right. I'm not talking about healthy physical habits, but coping mechanisms. Anyway.
It's only a 6-pack. I have to go back to the store to get it. It's bad when I come home with a 12.
All right, let's talk about what we're here to talk about.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, it's up to you. Where are we starting? You got a stack. Let's start with on top.
Okay, let's start with on top. Can you reach back there and grab?
And why are we haven't we discussed this already?
We haven't discussed this yet.
For real?
No.
Like we got this a while ago.
We hadn't podcast. We talked about last time we podcast, last episode, and it was something fierce. It was like It was like 3 or 4 months ago.
Our last podcast.
Well, not the last one, but like.
Okay. Anyway, so he's brought down from our stack of board games because we've been board gaming it up quite a bit more often than video games actually lately.
It's just because it just takes so much time to play a video game.
Well, from start
May
to finish,
25th
yes.
was the last podcast that we did before we came back recently. So you got this for your birthday.
Right.
We didn't talk about that in
On
May.
the last episode?
I don't believe so. We might have mentioned it, but we didn't talk about what it is. I kind of wanted to break it open and see what show what it is. We're going to do some videos about it when I get time to do some, but breaking down what's in there. I kind of want to just, hear you talk about it a little bit.
Here we are. I'll Vanna White it up.
Vanna White.
If I can
right
work
there.
the camera. There you are. Hey. So, Sentinels of the Multiverse.
Multiverse. That is Scottish.
I may have had an angry Orchard as well. So, Sentinels of the Multiverse.
The card game.
It is a card game. There are many expansions to this card game. We only have the one at this time. Essentially, you're a bunch of superheroes.
Yep.
And you're working together to take down a villain. There's also an environment, so your location that you're playing in has effects, usually hurting you. There are some
impacting the
instances,
game.
right? There are some instances where it helps, but generally it makes things harder, I would say.
Yeah, it does.
So in this initial, is this the original version here? Okay.
Yeah. There's no expansions in there.
So in this original version, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you've got 10 heroes that you can choose from.
Yep.
We actually do have an expansion in here.
We do?
We have the extra hero cards, the foil.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so the special edition ones.
Right. So each hero has I'll take absolute 0 out here. For 1. So each hero card has an ability. It has your HP, and so we have multiple different versions of each hero that you can choose from.
Right. So at the start of the game, you got to pick one of these, and they all have different HP, and they all have different abilities.
Now, if you were to have just this box version, you have the one.
Yes, it just comes with the one.
There was an anniversary edition, I think, or something that came out that had foil cards with all the different versions of the heroes. So that's what those are.
So what's in the deck?
What's in a deck?
Yeah, so what kind of things does the deck do?
So each hero has its own deck. You've got your hero card that again has your hit points. It has your ability, which is called a power. And then depending on which character you are, you have different types of cards.
Right.
Generally, there's equipment cards. So particularly the person who is akin to Batman. which is that Tachyon? Wraith. Okay. She, I think, has more equipment cards than other types of cards. There's ongoing cards, so cards that have an effect, maybe
reduce damage.
Right. And that is kind of like a magic. What do they call that?
Enchantment.
Right.
Permanent.
Right. So that stays out. You've got one shot, where maybe it's just like some kind of supersonic punch, and you do 3 damage to one character.
Right.
What am I missing?
That's about it.
There's limited.
Oh yeah, the difference. Limited.
So you can have equipment that they might stack, but then you also have limited equipment, which are maybe a little more powerful, and they only allow you to have one of that type out per at a time. So those your general hero decks.
Yep. So all the decks are pre-constructed for you. You get access to all the cards at once.
And then you've got your what are they called? Your villains.
Your villain cards.
So your villain, of course, again has the HP. A little bit about the villain as far as her name and stuff, and then they have a separate card that kind of has you how to set up the game, what they do. Usually, a villain at some point will flip. Their card will flip, and then they have a new ability for that specific time. So maybe you reduce them down to a certain amount of damage, and then they flip, and maybe they're a little more difficult. They some go on rampage.
Yeah, some affect the board. Like when they flip, they remove stuff. They, when certain number of cards hit their waste pile, then they flip it. There's a wide variety of why they flip and what how to flip them back and what it does to the game.
Right. And then of course you have your
environment.
Your
cards.
Locations. Yeah, your environment. So Megalopolis.
Megalopolis?
I can't even say that. The ruins of Atlantis, the Wagner Mars base. So each of these are going to have different effects as well. Some of them may be like this one here, the Insula Primalis. It's like a dinosaur location. And you may have like this obsidian field, so it's going to increase all the damage by 1. But then there's also potential characters that are in that environment, for example, the T-Rex. So then you're also having to deal damage to the T-Rex in order to get rid of him. Some of these other ones, primordial plant life here, at the end of the environment turn, you destroy this card.
Right.
So there may be other things you have to do, like skipping your turn. Like if all characters decide to skip their turns, then you can get rid of this card.
Right.
So there's different conditions that you have to meet to
right. So that kind of takes you into like the turns and stuff like that. So like the way the turns break down is the villain takes their turn. So basically what they do, it's the start of the villain turn. So any card that says at the start of the villain turn, do this happens, right? Then then you flip over the top card of the villain deck, right? And that usually does something, if it doesn't deal with the start of the villain turn because that's already passed. And then there's the end of the villain turn where everything just triggers and stuff like that. Usually the villain will deal damage at the end of their turn. That's usually when they deal their damage and stuff like that. Then the hero, then you get it, then everybody takes their turn clockwise or whatever. You start your turn, you play a card from your hand, so it could be like one of those permanents, ongoings, equipment, or one-shots. Then you can use a power, so that's usually the equipment will have its own power, or you could use your hero's their abilities power, and then you draw a card, and then you end your turn. And then the environment gets their turn.
Yep, it's pretty basic at the beginning. Some of the characters do get, in the directions tell you the ones that are maybe a little more complex. But some of the characters will have equipment that allow you to use 2 powers per turn or
draw multiple cards.
Right. So you can start to string together chains of actions depending on the character, really, too. The game box also comes equipped with damage counters. You can't. I'm holding that down too low, so you really can't see. So you've got damage counters, which can be a little tricky to use. A spin down would be a lot easier. And then there are also little like placards, I guess, for your effects. So damage dealt. So if you have a card out that allows damage dealt to be increased by 1, that just kind of helps you remember.
Yep.
So then there's other ones.
Kind of makes the game a little bit easier to track, and because when you're playing a game of just 2 people, and we figure this out real quickly, that 2 people can with single heroes, you can't win. It's very, very difficult. And there's even like a difficult set, I guess, mode that you can play with each of these villains, where it increases their. I don't remember what it does. I don't know. There's something that you can do to make the game harder. But we were playing easy or normal mode, and we probably played at least 4 games.
Never won.
And never won.
Not even came close.
Right. So it got to a point where it's like, okay, you have to have 3 people at least. The game says 2, but I mean, to be realistic, you need 3 characters or 4. So we started playing games where we were both controlling 2 characters. So we're kind of cheating.
It gets a little difficult to keep track of. But
right.
The game box also does come with these really nice dividers. I think you can see from there. So really nice dividers so that you can store everything in here and see where all your decks are. So
yep. It's a well put together package.
Yeah, and the box is. I mean, I know it's cardboard, but it's more of a plastic. I don't know what you call it. More of a plasticky cardboard.
It's got some type of film.
It's got a texture to it. It's really heavy duty and nice, not like some, like Candyland box where you push it down and the corners get all crumpled and
right. And the expansion.
Squished.
I mean, the expansions come in the same size boxes, which are nice for stacking and things like that. So I know our one friend Jesse's got. Quite a
suitcase.
He's got basically like a carry-on luggage case that has like multiple expansions, and he's got it broken up to where one box is his heroes, one box is the villains, and one box is the environment cards.
Right.
So, and then that seems to be like the common way to store your game. Once you I mean, there's probably like at least 6 expansions, like full-fledged.
Etsy or Amazon also has that you can buy. Boxes that people have created to organize this, and actually whatever this is called,
Dead of Winter.
Dead of Winter. Yeah, I've seen some custom made organizational tools for that.
Okay, so let's talk about Dead of Winter.
All right, we've talked about Dead of Winter on here before.
Yes, we have.
And we have, I think, talked probably about both expansions at some point.
Right. This is the new expansion. It's not standalone, so you have to have at least 2 copies of something else to play it, right?
So let's backtrack just a minute. I know if you haven't seen the show before, just a brief rundown. Dead of Winter is a zombie apocalypse game. You control a number of characters that live together in a colony. You have a main objective as a colony, and then you have your individual objective that's secret from everybody else.
Come with these little cool standee guys, so you can kind of visualize where your dude's at.
Yep. There's multiple locations, so you've got your colony, then you've got the grocery, library, hospital, things like that. Each location, it tells you, has a particular types of items you can find there. So, for example, the hospital, of course, is going to have more medication than anywhere else on the board.
Right.
Food, weapons, tools, other things like that. Maybe things that you would find. Fuel, particularly at the gas station. So, you have to you've got so many rounds to work together to complete the main objective and then also complete your objective. So, the first expansion was basically almost a standalone game.
Yeah, the long night.
Right. So it gives you a whole nother set of characters to play as, a whole new set of rules. It's basically the rules are the same. Yep, new crossroad cards, new all kinds of stuff. You don't really have to add it into your existing game. So now they've come out with this game. Came out like a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
It came out on the 12th.
Okay, so not even a week.
Yeah, so literally last week.
Yep. And this...
Oh, I forgot to hit record on the audio. That's all right. Don't worry about it.
Oh, no. Okay. So go ahead. You can... Sorry, I kind of...
No, you're good. So, one of the big complaints about the Dead of Winter games is it can get repetitive because there's a finite set of variations that you can play. One of the fun things that can happen is they've got these crossroad cards that basically whenever a player does something, it tells you like, hey, this is happening, and you have option A and option B, or sometimes even option C, or sometimes it doesn't give you any options, it just happens, right?
It adds a little more story and text to the game too.
Right. And the thing is that adds a lot of variety in my opinion. But this right here, I think, is, we haven't actually played it. I've read through the instruction manual, and just by reading through the instruction manual, I can tell you this is going to add like layers of like variations, right? So what happens is you have this game, and it takes either a double set of one or one of each of the first and the expansion. So either you have 2 Long Nights, 2 originals, or one of each.
Right.
And you play as, you've got a group, you have to have a minimum of 4 people.
Right, so 2 people per colony.
Yep, 2 people per colony, and it basically wages the 2 colonies against each other. You have one common goal, you have one common crisis to work towards as a colony, but as like together, both colonies work towards these 2 objectives or whatever.
So you are the prison and Woodbury.
Pretty much. One of the big sticks to this game is is the combat. So when you've got, so for reference, you've got Colony A and Colony B, right? And you have these 6 locations: the grocery store, police station, hospital, gas station. I don't remember the other one. There's 2 more.
Did you say school?
School is one, grocery store, gas station, hospital,
library.
Did I say police station?
I don't know.
There's 6.
Anyway.
There's 6 non-colony locations, and you just keep those 6 in this game. So there's not 12. There's 6. And if a person from Colony A and Colony B end up at one location, there's this battle sequence.
Oh wow.
Where there's like 5 steps, right? And like the first step is who has a quits right here. It's basically like there's like this combat step. Like I haven't quite, and I think it's one of those things where you kind of have to play it to kind of figure it out. But basically they have this marker thing where the combat starts at 0, phase 1 happens, and that kind of tells you who won that, right? And whoever at the end of the game, at the end of the phase, whoever has the highest combat action in their point something, they get the weapons from the other person.
Yeah, I'm looking through it now. I've not played it yet either, and I haven't really read through the directions yet. I'm looking at this, and it's going to take a couple plays through to get it.
Right. There, at one point, it's like who has more weapons, and then
the bullet bid phase.
Right. So then, like every
combat die.
Right. At every round, you get these bullet tokens, so you can like bid bullet tokens, and whoever bids the most gets that many extra points towards their combat attack or whatever. So it's interesting because it depends on who you're playing with. And like what characters are out scavenging and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and then
you have to actually elect colony leaders.
Right, and then each round you re-elect that. You have another voting stage and you re-elect them. The other thing that's really cool that they're kind of toying around with is you have these random items. Right, so there isn't any additional locations in this box, right? But there's probably like 50 random items, and you pick out 5 random ones, and you shuffle those ones into the existing 6 locations. So you're not going to use every one of these each time, but it just adds another level of variance, another more playability, which is good. There's more character cards and things like that. Overall, it's really fun. You can play up to 11 people. So if you have 11, or if you have an odd number of people, one of these individuals plays as what's called the lone wolf, right? So they have their own cards, or they're not aligned with any one colony. They have their own objective and things like that. They have their own morale counter and things like that, which is kind of cool. It gets interesting during combat when they are before the combat section begins. They have to choose either to stay at the location and pick a side and fight alongside that colony, or they can choose to run away and go back to their it's called the Lone Wolf Den, their little their little home. Huh. They still have to roll for exposure and all that stuff. But it's pretty sweet. The hardcore mode, and this is really what's scary, the hardcore mode of this has a 2-minute timer, right? So part of the simultaneous, when you're taking actions, like, because both colonies play at the same time, right? So the leaders play together at the same time. So each leader, while they're playing together, has 2 minutes to decide what they're going to do.
Oh.
Right, and if they don't complete their actions, then when the timer's up, which is kind of, it can really kind of put a little bit of pressure on you. But I'm really looking forward to it. We just need to kind of introduce it to our play group. I mean, the group the few people that have brought Dead of Winter out have only played maybe 2 or 3 games with us.
And it takes it.
There is a learning curve with this game. I think.
Yeah, it starts to make sense, but there's a lot that goes into it. It's pretty involved.
Yeah, but again, like if you've got a couple hours to burn, it's a fun game. So
sorry,
it's all good. Stop kicking stuff over. Okay, so that's board games. There is a new. Another game that from the Plaid Hat Games, the same people that made Dead of Winter. There's a Rexon card game, so it's set in the same world, and it's 1 to 4 players, which is kind of cool. So you can play it solo, which is I'm looking forward to testing that out and playing that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, you're basically playing against the pharmaceutical company from the Long Night, the first expansion. So. I don't know. You're crowd controlling and trying to save people and kill zombies all at the same time.
Right.
So.
I guess there's flipped over survival, like a group of survivors. You don't know if they're infected or if they're not or whatever, and
right.
So you're trying to save them. And if you accidentally save too many infected or don't contain the sick, then stuff happens.
Yeah. It doesn't look nearly as involved. It kind of looks very mellow compared to the original games.
There's not as many tokens and stuff, but it still sounds a little confusing.
Yeah, I kind of want to play it though.
Playthrough.
So those are the board games. Is there what else? What else we want to talk about? Talk about your shows.
I'm behind on.
What have you been watching?
I'm behind on them all. We've been doing a terrible job of watching shows when they actually are on this season.
Really? I thought we were keeping up pretty good.
This Is Us was on Tuesday.
It's only Wednesday. So that was yesterday. I want them to tell us how Jack dies.
He dies in the fire.
Okay. Spoiler alert.
At their house.
There's a fire.
And that is the Pearson house.
Oh, was it? Did you find that out online or?
Online.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I thought it was, but I wasn't 100% certain. But yeah, that is their house. Yeah. Sorry, spoiler alert. Should have said that beforehand.
Wow, that's a little rough. That's not very. Anyway. Anyway.
So yeah, you didn't watch the last episode. I watched it.
Trying to think. The last one I saw was
season premiere.
I think it was the season premiere.
Yeah. So episode 3 just aired. I watched episode 2 the other 2. Anyway, they get into episode 4 just aired.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Really far behind.
Did you watch when they went to the Manny and they decided that they were going to do. Okay, so that's the second episode. I think.
Okay, so I watched 1 and 2.
I think so. Anyway.
Oh, we watched them back to back.
Yep.
That's right. We watched 1 and 2 back to back. I skipped 3, and then 4 was last night.
So 3 that I just watched really tackles they. Randall and his wife had decided previously earlier this season that they were going to try foster care. It kind of speeds things up because, as we know, we looked into foster care at one point. It is kind of a lengthy process in getting approved and going through all the classes and everything. But of course, this is television, so they speed things up, and they get their first foster child. They show a little bit of difficulty. Randall, we've seen that he has problems with anxiety and is kind of a control freak.
Right.
This is going to be a little hard for him because, and he even says this in the episode, I thought giving her a tour of the house and saying her name multiple times would make her feel comfortable and happy. And of course, she's a teenager and she's...
Oh, is she older than the other two?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, okay.
And, her mom's been in and out of the system, in and out of jail, and she's been in and out of the foster care system for quite some time, and she has issues, as you would expect. And it's not just gonna be hey, look, this is our house, isn't it nice? Here, now you're happy and well adjusted. No, and Randall's realizing that, and I think he knew that to begin with, but it's all kind of real now. We also get some more information, kind of going back to Jack's death, and seeing, actually, Sylvester Stallone is in this episode.
Really?
The movie that, what's his name?
Jack?
No, the son that...
Randall?
No, the son that is the actor.
Oh,
Randall, Kate, and...
Drawing a blank.
Ah, me too.
What's the kid's name?
This is why we have computers, right?
Oh, God. See, this is why I brought your computer down. This is us third kid. Or what's the kids' names?
Okay.
Jack. Scott.
No.
Timmy. God, what's his name? Oh! I remember the first time I learned to use Google.
Dead silence. Hello, be talking.
I'm trying to think. Can't you hear me thinking?
Kevin.
There it is. God.
Oh my God. Okay, we just need to go to bed. So Kevin had been cast into a movie. Sylvester Stallone is in it, and Kate is talking to him. She's really kind of learned to open up a little bit more about her dad's death. She even discusses about the fact that when she was in, I don't want to call it fat camp, but
when she was in fat camp. Did you just say, I don't want to call it fat camp,
that's
but
what
that's...
she went to. That's what she, and I think she may have called it that. But anyway. Can we not be live right now? Okay. Anyhow, when she goes, she has counseling, and they talk about how she needs to come to terms with her dad's death. Well, Kevin is also having some trouble with it. We see it more in this episode, because Kate discusses with Sylvester Stallone how much her father idolized him, and they watched Rocky a bajillion times when they were kids.
Mm-hmm.
Sylvester comes over and talks to Kevin about it, and he's freaking out. He messes up his scene. He just can't get past the fact that I can't talk about this.
Right.
And we also, at one point, Kate mentions how he's so much like his dad. And at the end, he hurt his knee on set, and we see him popping pills. I don't know if it's going to become an addiction problem, if that's the route they're going to take with it. Mm-hmm. I could see that happening. I mean, again, the saying, oh, he's so much like his dad. We've seen his dad trying to overcome these addictions.
Right.
We know that he had as a teenager, when his dad dies, he's got his leg in a cast. So we know he's had issues with that knee and maybe with some pain and things. I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see the direction they take with that.
I don't know.
So that's that show.
I just want to know how the dad dies. Like
I don't know why you're so fixated on it.
Because last season they spent all this time. I think it was even episode 1. They even flashed forward to him dying.
2 or 3, they show Kate saying, "My dad's," and bringing down the urn because they watch football together. I think
Right.
That's when you go, oh my gosh, the dad's dead.
Right. So they very early on in season 1, they're like, "Oh, he's dead," and then like they spent all of like the last 2 episodes like really playing up the alcoholism and the drunk driving and like the angry, jealous husband bit. And lo and behold, in episode 1 of season 2, they're like, "Hey,
We're currently talking about This Is Us.
yeah."
Sorry.
And then in episode 1 and 2, they like, "Oh, he really wasn't that bad of a guy. He's kind of turning the corner." And you're like, "What? I've got this like idea of what he is, and you've just kind of pushed that aside. Like, nope, he's actually a pretty cool dude." Which, I mean, he seemed like a pretty cool dude. It's very back and forth, is what I'm saying.
I never said he wasn't cool. I mean, you can be an alcoholic and still be like a good guy.
No, I understand that, but like his character was very, very likable.
Yeah.
And then it went to like this really deep, dark place, and you're like, "Oh, he's got some problems." Like, okay, so this is how he's gonna die, and then like, it's very bipolar to me, and I just kind of want to get past it. So. Anyway, what else?
Once Upon a Time.
You're not real thrilled with this.
I go back again. I go back and forth on it. So it's in season 7, I think. And we knew going late last season that they hadn't been renewed yet. We didn't know what the outcome of it was going to be. And I really don't think they got renewed for this season until like right before the last episode showed. So they really did a good job of wrapping everything up last season. Mm-hmm. Everybody got their happy endings. They defeated the big. They had a new big bad. They got rid of that guy, the Black Fairy.
Wasn't the Black Fairy a chick?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Who was? Oh,
Rumpel's mom.
No. Rumpel's other son. Who was the one that was coming to kill Emma?
Oh yeah.
Who was the one in the cloak?
Gideon.
Yeah.
Rumpel and Belle's kid.
Yeah. From the future.
Not really from the future. That time just moves differently in the realm where the Black Fairy lives, but so he's aged.
He's aged quite well.
Very fast. Anyway, so yes, it ended with everybody getting their happy endings. And it would have been a really good series, like satisfying series ending. But again, the ABC said that they could have another season. And a lot of the main characters decided not to come back. Emma, who is
the main character,
she said she was done. I know she's had some health problems, I think, with migraines and other things going on, and she said she's played this character for 6 years. She kind of wants to take a break from, I think, acting and maybe going more towards directing. She was also on House for a good bit of time.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chloe? She was one of the three.
Yeah. Jennifer Morrison.
That's okay. Now that's starting to make sense, because I'm like, I've always seen her in something before, but she had red hair in that series, right?
I think she was blonde. Maybe
she
more
might,
of a blonde red.
I don't know.
Anyway, and then Snow and Charming, those two characters, Snow White and Prince Charming. In real life, they met on the set. In real life, they got married and had 2 kids. So I think they were
pretty much
ready
done.
ready to spend time with their family. So, and then there were some that Rebecca Mader, who plays the Wicked Witch of the West, or Zelina. We had heard she wasn't coming back, but then now I think she ended up coming. Like, there were some people who said they weren't, and then they were, so I'm not really sure yet, but, needless to say, and Henry, the main kid.
He played the first episode, but then grew up.
Actually, he's in it, I think, a couple episodes here and there, as far as flashbacks.
Hmm.
But yeah, essentially, they do a time jump. Henry's grown up and is now played by the same same actor who played Gareth on The Walking Dead.
Ooh, Walking Dead.
Comes back Sunday. But he decides he wants to go off. He's the author. He wants to go off and write his own story, be his own story. And so he finds a new realm. We find out that, again, this is a show that jumps around. It's the same creators as Lost. So it can get a little confusing. But time has passed. He has grown up, is living in the Wish realm, meets another realm, meets Cinderella. Not the Cinderella that we met back in season 1 of the show,
Right.
but a different Cinderella. And he
Right.
kind of explains, there's different, there's an Italian version of Snow White and a German Snow White and a French Snow White, whatever.
Right.
So that's kind of how they are
kind of rehashing
getting
the
around
same stories.
right. And different actors playing the same characters.
Right.
So essentially we see him meet Cinderella. We know they eventually get married and have a daughter. And then we also know that they have been put under a very similar curse to what the original curse was. They are living in a suburb of Seattle in our world. They don't know who they've been given false identities again.
Mm-hmm.
Henry and Cinderella's daughter, knows the truth and is trying to get everybody to kind of realize. So again, very similar
kind of very
storyline
similar
to how it originally started.
So how long do you think this is going to last? I mean, this is like this. It's the same setup as pretty much almost identical as the first one.
Yeah. The only difference is instead of being stuck in Hyperion Heights is what it's called, the suburb of Seattle, they have freedom to go. Like they were all stuck in Storybrooke before.
Right.
And now the big bad person that we know of as right now would be Cinderella's stepmother. Although from what I've heard, they're introducing more. Last episode, because we know that the main people who stayed were Regina, the actress who played Regina, Hook, and Rumpelstiltskin.
Rumpel stayed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
At least he's entertaining in the show. Like he does, like his actor is really good. Is it Gold or is it Rumpel?
The character?
Yeah.
His name is Weaver, actually.
Oh, so he plays. Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Right, because they've all been given another identity.
Gotcha.
So Regina
I gotcha.
is called
Some
something else.
barmaid.
Ronnie. Yeah, and she owns a bar. But so this last episode, we see a little bit of a flashback to Henry is getting, right after he's met Cinderella, he's in a little bit of trouble because the stepmom has captured him. And he calls for help from, he has this message in a bottle thing anyway. He's able to contact Hook and Regina and ask for help. So they are able to teleport to that realm where he is somehow and get him out of trouble. We also find out that, this gets rather convoluted.
No, you're fine.
So last season there was a realm created by a wish.
Okay.
Emma gets put there, Regina's there, and you see the overweight Hook who's drunk so when Henry called for Hook to come, it brought both Hooks to him. The Wish
boy.
Realm Hook and the Hook that we know.
Yeah.
Anyhow, some things go on. Wish Realm Hook gets a spell put onto him so he looks like our Hook that we know. And he tries to take our Hook's place.
Mm-hmm.
When he finds out that Emma is pregnant, yay, that's why she didn't come right away. He decides that he cannot keep the two of them apart. He becomes kind of a good guy, and so yay. Anyway,
Yay.
So yay. So anyhow, our Hook and Emma go back to living their happy little lives in our world. Emma kind of does, without going into so much detail, helps out the Wish Realm Hook.
Mm-hmm.
We'll call him Rogers because that's what his name is in our world during this curse. She helps him and says, "You're looking for your long lost daughter." Apparently, he had a daughter in the
Hook
Wish
did?
Realm. In the Wish Realm.
Oh, gotcha.
And that's kind of what's been motivating him. You're looking for him. Henry's looking for Cinderella. Regina, while she has a happy ending, she really hasn't had her own life.
Yeah,
I guess in our world, she doesn't have a significant other.
Because she doesn't have
Robin died.
Robin died.
So Henry says, "Why don't you stay with me?" Emma talks Wish Realm Hook Rogers into staying with Henry. So the Hook that's in our show now is not the Hook that we've known. It's the Wish Hook.
Right. Is it the same actor at least?
It's the same actor.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So he said he's enjoying playing a different side of things.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, it's, again, very convoluted. If you don't follow the show, it's hard to keep up. But yeah,
I don't know.
I'll watch it.
To be honest with you, I enjoyed the spin-off series, and I know it wasn't very popular. The Alice in Wonderland spin-off, that was really good. And I feel like they did a pretty good job of tying the Knave, because the Knave was tied into the original. They did a pretty good job of tying that into the original and stuff like that. I would have liked to see another one of those.
Something completely different.
Something, a one series, because that's all this is going to be. Like, unfortunately, and it's, the sad part is, like, they tied everybody up nice and neat and nice little bow. The only person that really didn't get their, special ending or whatever would have been Regina, because Robin's dead.
Yeah, well, she doesn't get that like true love thing. But
right.
She gets to grow up. She's not evil anymore. She has friends and family and gets to raise Henry with Emma and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a happy ending for her.
But it's not what she was wanting, though. So I don't know.
No.
But villains never get their happy ending, and that's kind of what the show has proven time and time again. So it's probably going to be the last season. I'm guessing you.
Probably. I don't know. Honestly, I'll continue to watch it because I've watched it from day one.
You've already invested so much time into it.
Yeah, and I want to see where they go with it. But in a way, I kind of wish they had just
ended it.
It was a good ending.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Are we playing anything? I played a little bit of Destiny 2 this past week.
I haven't played any in a long time.
I think tomorrow we're going to stream Fortnite, the Battle Royale thing.
I have no idea what that is.
It's like it was like previewed like years and years and years ago, like Epic, back when I think his name was like Cliffy B or whatever. He's like head designer. He still worked at Epic and he left or whatever, and I don't know, this game took forever to get out, and it's finally out, and there's a free version of like the multiplayer, which is kind of an interesting take. Like, usually like with these big box games, like you have to buy the single player and the multiplayer, but this one you only buy a certain portion of it and you can play the multiplayer for free. So I don't know, sounds fun to me. Third person shooter, like open world kind of thing.
I'm just excited that Walking Dead returns Sunday.
Walking Dead does return Sunday. That'll be exciting. I don't even remember where we left off. This is the season premiere, right?
Yeah.
Where did we leave off?
The all-out war. It's moving into the all-out war territory.
Oh, that's right, because they got the junkyard.
We saw
chick.
Sasha kill herself, essentially.
Right, because she was in the coffin. She took one of Eugene's pills or whatever.
Yep.
Yep.
The junkyard people turned.
That's
on
what
Rick.
that's what I wanted to talk about.
We saw the tiger come in and kill everybody. And
I wanted to talk about Eugene real quick before we close out the show, because we brought this up in the car, one of our car rides somewhere. I don't remember where. But do you think that Eugene is playing Negan and just trying to survive, or is he like committed to this evil persona? Like what do you?
I don't think he even has an evil persona. I think he's generally a decent person, but from the beginning, he's done what he needs to do, lied to who he needs to lie to, create an alter ego in order to survive.
So you think that's a good person?
I don't think he's a bad person. I don't think he goes out wanting to hurt other people.
Right.
Do other people get hurt in the process, and do they lose their trust in him? And yeah,
I think
I think he's a cow. I mean,
he's a coward.
He's a coward. We know that.
I feel like I think he'll cope, or he'll follow the strongest. Yeah, he's always part of the strongest group or whatever. And I don't think he does it on purpose. He is a survivalist in the sense of, I can't survive on my own, so I have to latch on to someone that's going to help me survive.
And I don't think that makes him bad or evil. I think he still views Rick's group as his friends.
Mm-hmm.
I think he likes Rick's group, but he's afraid of death. He's afraid of...
Right. Well, and the other thing that you got to think about, too, is his group is pretty much gone, because Rosita's the only one that's left from their group, right? Because Abraham's gone.
It was just him and Abraham and Rosita when we met them.
Oh, was it? I thought there was another dude.
I think it was just the three of them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but his group Abraham played a big role, because that was who kind of saved him originally, was Abraham. Like, that's the kind of the backstory that they had there. So, I don't know. I want to believe that he'll do the right thing, like, and go back to our group, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's probably, if he doesn't die in the process of serving Negan, I don't think he's coming back to our group.
Probably not.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much longer he'll survive it. I know he's trying to, but again, we're in all-out war, and I think regardless of how much Rick's group would, we want to say they're good people. It's I think Carl even mentions it in one of the episodes, how do you know you're good? I mean, everyone's killing for their own purposes. I mean, how do you define who's good in this time? Negan, while he is very demented, he has set up a society with rules, and people have supplies, and they have,
right.
Again, when morality is so fluid and you're in such extreme circumstances, how do you define good?
Right. I mean,
and how do you survive if you're good?
I mean, technically, Negan's a good character in the sense that he's providing for this large group of people.
Yeah, and he views himself to be so.
Right.
I mean,
well, all villains do. I mean,
well,
but the people that are kind of blind to what's going on outside of the, I don't remember what they call his fortress or whatever, but like just like the worker bees within, they don't know what else is going on outside. Like, they don't know where all this food's coming from. I mean, I'm sure they hear rumors and stuff, but...
Oh, with his different agreements with the...
Yeah, with the people of the outside world.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everyone is not on the same page, for sure, because if they were, there would be chaos inside.
Well, and we've seen people in Negan's group try to defect.
Right.
Dwight?
Yep.
I mean, he ran away, and he got the iron. He eventually
and he
went
ran
back.
away again. Right?
Right.
He's on the run again, chasing after his girlfriend.
Gone and come a couple times, but
oh wait, didn't Rick's group capture him, or was that before or after?
They did, but then I think they let him go.
That's right.
They were at one point trying to decide what they were going to do with him.
So the last thing we know is he's on the run looking for his girlfriend, ex-wife, or whatever.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Because didn't we see him go to like an abandoned house or whatever, and there was like
before Rick got him, I think.
Oh, is that? See,
yeah.
My memory is god awful.
It's been a while.
We got to binge watch this series before the next episode. At least like the last season. Good God.
Yeah. You got a couple nights to do it.
Shit. Not enough time.
Yep.
Why can't there be more hours in the day?
Because you want to talk to people online.
Ha! There's nobody watching. So what do you know? Talking to myself.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. I think that's a good show. We'll wrap it up there. Do you have any final thoughts or anything you want to say before we close out the show?
Nope.
Nothing. You've said your piece.
I've said a lot of pieces.
You've said all the pieces. All right. Well, if I will say something for you, if you need some photography or want to hire a photographer, my wife is an excellent one of those.
One of those.
She's one of those people with the camera thing that takes all the pretty pictures. We're in the Dayton, Ohio area. But she will go up to Columbus or she will go down to Cincinnati. She'll travel. Should check out our website. I'm talking for you. Leave me alone. She's a photographer for hire. You should hire her. Weddings, parties, births, which is kind of weird, but people do it, I guess, right?
People do it. Yeah.
People, that's how the babies are born, when they do it. But some
I'm
people
not there for that.
You don't take that.
That is one thing that I will not photograph.
Hey, you never know.
There's a market for it, but I'm not.
I'm
not
sure
in
that
market.
it pays really well. I mean, you always talk about repeat clients, right? You've got your birth client, which turns into your Fresh 48 client, which turns into your year client, which turns into family photo client. This is just one step before the birth.
No.
Just kidding.
No.
Just kidding.
No, don't even.
Yeah, so look up our website. It's amandadphotography.com. And if you are in the area and need a photographer, give her a call.
Yep.
Or, go to her Facebook page and like her stuff and share her stuff, because that's how the word gets out, right? You may not need it, but someone on your friends list might. And we really appreciate that, right? You quit your job over a year ago to do this venture, and it's working out really well, and every little bit helps. So
couldn't do it without support.
Right, support, right? If you're not buying anything, just like or share it. It's free. It helps out a lot. All right, enough rambling. So make sure you go to the YouTube page, youtube.com/72DPI online. Leave us a comment. Subscribe to the channel. We're almost to double digits. Quiet, you. Let's hit double digits, guys. Let's get there. We need one person to go to the YouTube channel, subscribe. We'll hit double digits. Maybe we'll have a giveaway next week.
We've been talking for 211 episodes for double digits.
You know what? I don't care.
All right. I know you don't.
All right, guys. Have a great weekend. We will see you next Wednesday. Talk about some Walking Dead.
Yay.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Night.